Sometimes you just watch a movie that's just so wrong, that's so terrible and poor in almost every way, that you can feel your brain cells deteriorate the more you watch it. Prom Night was that kind of movie. A remake to the classic 80s Jamie Lee Curtis movie. I felt that this was ripe for a remake. It's something you could have updated, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, when they had that gluttony of slashers as they started to kind of follow the Scream bandwagon. I felt this could have been a fairly fun update to that kind of movie. But they change so much that it becomes a lesser sequel or remake, or one that's just not as good as the original, the disco classic that I recently reviewed. I loved Prom Night. I loved it enough to go back to this movie that I know was just really crapped upon when it came out because of, well, I was about to find out. The movie follows Donna, a person who has a teacher that's just fantasising about her, stalking her, who, when she comes home one night, has broke into her house and killed everybody. And then he gets captured and put into jail, but then gets sent to an asylum. And we jump a couple of years to Donna's prom night, where, wouldn't you believe it, he has escaped from that asylum and is making his way to find out where Donna is. Now, when the movie kind of starts, we meet the familiar group of people, her friend circle, who we know are going to have horrible demises at certain points, possibly. But what we have is a lot of contrivances to get us there. We know that Donna is at a hotel for a function for her prom night. Somehow the killer, the stalker, has found his way there as well. And not only there, but when he booked into the hotel, he manages to get booked just a couple of rooms away from her, which, can't you believe it? And as much as he's constantly stalking, as much as this used to be a teacher at the school, nobody seemingly recognises him at all. And he just seems like an atypical killer without any kind of characteristics. Does not even have a cool mask to differentiate him. He's just a guy who's crazy, fixated on somebody, and going to try and make her life torturous to show how much he loves her. But it's never really fully explained, and we don't really care about any of the dynamics. We just know that this is a killing machine who isn't that interesting. And the characters themselves aren't that interesting either. You're following this group of people as they go about their prom, and they all have their little connections to other factions within the school. You know, this person doesn't like that person, and this person fancies this person, and this and that, and you just don't care. It's beautiful people waiting to be slaughtered in various ways. But even that never makes sense. We get a scene with her best friend, Donna's best friend, who gets chased down a stairwell. She runs down a couple of flights of stairs and finds herself in the middle of a construction site that just seems really odd. It feels as if it's in the basement of the hotel, but there's no reason as to why it's there. There's no reason as to why it's easily accessible by the patrons of the hotel, as we see her boyfriend come down in the elevator at one scene. It just seems strange, and it's been thrown in there to give a cool sequence of horrific elements. You know, the sheets of plastic hanging, the shadows, the lack of lighting, the things to hide behind. But it never works, and that's what this movie just seemingly has going for it. Going for it. It just doesn't work. It has all these things that just don't work. This constant choices of things that just don't make sense, that don't really help anything. And even when we get to the conclusion of the movie, we have to take some major leaps in logic of how we got there. It doesn't even have the atmosphere or the blood or the gore or anything to draw in the horror crowd. It is by the numbers boring. It follows the beats of a slasher, but has none of the creativity or the sheer energy or exuberance of the kind of slashers that make you enjoy that kind of subgenre. The only thing this movie has going for it, and the only thing that I found redeemable at all within the movie, was the fact that Idris Elba was in it as a police detective, and he actually is fairly good in the movie, as he is in most things, to be fair, but he's wasted here. And amongst this cast of bland people doing bland things, getting killed off in a bland fashion, the movie is extremely boring, yawn-inducing and just damn uninteresting. Prom Night's a serious avoid. If you have been lucky enough to never have watched it as yet, congratulations, you win. I was unfortunate enough to put this on, and I will hopefully one day get over the trauma of having watched this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.